Breaking news now involving a 49ers linebacker who is under arrest accused of domestic violence. 23-year-old linebacker Reuben Foster is in the Santa Clara County Jail right now. Our partners at the Bay Area News Group report that authorities in Los Gatos say today's arrest was on suspicion of domestic violence and possessing an assault rifle. Arrest records show Foster was booked into the Santa Clara County Jail on $75,000 bail. In early January, Foster was arrested and charged with possession of marijuana in Alabama. This is his mugshot from then. Tonight, the Niners have issued a statement saying they are aware of the report and they're still gathering all pertinent information.
Now with that ABC News exclusive with a woman accusing an NFL player of domestic violence. She is breaking her silence as outrage grows over Washington's decision to sign him after his arrest. Lindsay Davis sat down with her. Good morning, Lindsay.
Good morning, Robin. Elissa Ennis says that she and linebacker Reuben Foster dated off and on for more than 4 years. She also claims that he physically abused her several times, which is why when he was recently picked up by the Washington Redskins, she says it felt like, quote, a slap in the face. What was your reaction when Reuben got signed to the Redskins?
When he got signed, I was like, I can't believe somebody picked him up. And I just couldn't believe somebody picked him up in less than how many hours? Like, I was shocked.
Elissa Ennis says she shares the outrage voiced by some across the country in the wake of her ex-boyfriend Reuben Foster being signed by the Washington Redskins just days after his arrest last month on suspicion of domestic battery. She says she and Foster had taken a break and he'd started seeing other people.
He invited me to come see him in Florida, and I came and he took one of my phones and he slapped me and pushed me. Told him that I was gonna tell his new girlfriend that he paid for my flight out there, so that's what triggered it.
Ennis claims Foster's abuse in that Tampa hotel on November 24th left her with these bruises on her neck and face.
He called me out there so we could work on our relationship. And so I was like, I can't believe you're back doing this, because we both were seeing therapists and stuff trying to work on our relationship. So I was like, I can't believe you're back to doing this.
So back to doing this as if this was something that happened several times before?
Yes, ma'am, like 3 times.
And what did you do? Did you report this to police each time?
Well, the 2 times I did, one time the neighbors called. The neighbors called the police in October.
This incident in November, you called 911?
Yes, ma'am.
Your ex-boyfriend did what? Took my phone and broke it and slapped me in my face.
Did it feel like they did not believe you?
Oh, yes, ma'am. I felt like they didn't believe me. Even when I called the police, the 49ers came up there. I have pictures of the 49ers coming up there trying to talk to the police and say I'm the same ex-girlfriend that sat up there and lied.
Earlier this year in February, Ennis accused Foster of battery, but later recanted her story and dropped the allegations.
Reuben threw my clothes out the balcony. He threw my stuff out the house. He dragged me down the stairs 2-3 times. He punched me in my face 2-3 times, pulled me by my hair, kicked me, spit on me.
And then you go to court and then you recant your story?
Yes, ma'am.
And why'd you do that?
Because I loved him, and love will have you doing things that's not in your best interest because the person you love.
She told authorities she fabricated the story as part of a money scheme. There were some previous allegations that you referred to as a money scheme, I guess, to extort money. Were you not telling the truth at that point?
I was not telling the truth. I was not telling the truth.
So what do you say to people who are saying, well, because you've lied in the past, that's ruined your credibility now?
Well, I did what I had to do for the person I love. I thought that he would change. Anybody in my position, they would have did the same thing if they, shared a family with this person. He used to come crying to me, telling me he didn't have anybody. If somebody that you love comes crying to you, telling you that they didn't have anybody, you'll do the same thing too. Like, that's why I did what I did, because I loved him.
Do you still love him?
I've been getting help and stuff like that. This is not love. Love won't do you like that. This is not love. No, I've been getting help, but it's not love.
There are now criminal charges pending against Foster. The NFL has placed him on the commissioner's exempt list, which keeps him from practicing or playing until his legal case is resolved. But he's still being paid his contract, worth more than $9 million.
Well, in a situation like this, we have a pattern in practice. So this wasn't an isolated incident that just happened in Tampa Bay. This is a person who's in a relationship with someone. Police are called by neighbors, and that something has gone awry. No one should have to live in fear or in abuse like she did.
The president of the Redskins tells ABC News that the team did its own investigation, adding that law enforcement needs to hear both sides and see how this plays out. We also reached out to the 49ers, and they said they are reserving comment at this time. No comment from Reuben Foster.
Hot button.
Yeah.
Yes.
So how was she when you had sitting across from her? Just how is her? How is she now?
She sounds like she's still in the thick of dealing with trauma.
Yeah. Okay. That sounds
All right.
fair.
Thank you so much, Lindsay.
49er faces domestic violence charges.
But now his accuser says those claims were made up to end his career. KPIX5's Len Ramirez was in the courtroom today where the woman says she's done this kind of thing before. Len?
That's right, Ken. It was, we could hardly believe what we were hearing in court today. Reuben Foster's ex-girlfriend admitting that she lied and also tried to frame up one of her ex-boyfriends for domestic violence 7 years ago. Alyssa Ennis broke down in tears recanting her story that her ex-boyfriend and 49ers defensive star Reuben Foster beat her up in a fight at the Los Gatos home they shared last February.
Miss Ennis, is there anything that you can say? I know it was emotional for you today. Anything you want to tell the public?
Ennis ignored reporters' questions, but on the witness stand, Ennis said during cross-examination that she was angry and hurt after an argument and a breakup with Foster. Quote, "I wanted to be extra. I wanted him to go down. I was pissed." Then came a bombshell. Ennis admitted that in 2011 she was put in jail for trying to frame another ex-boyfriend for domestic violence in Louisiana. Foster's attorney followed up, quote, "So on February 11th, you go to your playbook and ruin his, meaning Foster's career?" "Yes, sir," she said. The explosive testimony came during a preliminary hearing in which a judge will decide whether there is enough evidence to put Foster on trial for domestic violence, witness tampering, and weapons charges. Foster and his attorney said nothing when they left the courthouse, but one legal analyst who was in the courtroom said Ennis's testimony puts the domestic violence case on life support.
Mr. Foster plays on defense, but his defense team went on offense in this cross-examination of the accuser, and it couldn't have gone any better. And so now I think the DA's office will go back, reevaluate how do we want to let this play out. Should we just go after the firearms charge and leave the domestic violence charge out of it?
The prosecutor said Ennis's 911 call and statements she made to her mother and brother are credible and consistent, that Foster punched her 10 times with a closed fist, and there are medical records of her ruptured eardrum. Today, she said those injuries came from a fight she had with another woman the previous night on the street. And at one point, Ennis broke down in tears, saying, "I'm sorry. I really am. I apologize to everyone." Now, one thing that is unclear at this point is to whether or not Ms. Ennis will face any kind of charges as to perjury or making a false police report. Now, a judge did not make a decision on this case today. She will be back in court next week to try and sort all of this out and figure out who is credible, who is not, and whether or not Mr. Foster should stand trial for the charges. Reporting live in San Jose, Len Ramirez, KPIX 5.